Okay, guys, no Scott McDonald this week. He's here in spirit, everyone. He's still here. Any of yous do a good Aussie accent? You can replace
Nope.
Scott, David? No?
Nah,
Nah,
nah, you're
nah.
not gonna, you're not even gonna get an attempt at me. No chance.
Do you at least have a decent goal scoring record for Celtic, Asim?
Nah, sorry, a letdown there as well from me.
What are you bringing to the party then?
Optimism, positive vibes.
We'll need them because it's
I
going
know.
to be a big one at the weekend. It's good to have you on. Good to have you on as well, David. We're going to just have a bit of a chat ahead of Sunday then, because this week on the channel it's just been me chatting, and we want to get some different viewpoints in ahead of what could be a momentous afternoon at Celtic Park. Time is moving on quickly. We're less than 3 days away from kick-off now, so it's going to come up fairly quickly. David, what's the overwhelming feeling right now in your wonderful mind?
Confidence, excitement, probably, maybe even dangerously, maybe a bit dangerously confident. I don't know, Hamish. We'll see how it goes in the day. But I think even with what happened at Hampden, which was anything but one-way traffic, by the way, I think there's a general optimism around the support. I think the win over Ross County and Sundays helped that, as have the league performances against Rangers. We know what this team's capable of. We're prepared to put Hampden down to an off day. I think the team have earned that kind of right when you look at the results they've had this season. And we fully expect a much better performance at Celtic Park. I'm not one to say we're going to come out and do what we did in February. I think it'll be a tough game. However, of course, I'm confident. Look where we are in the league. Look where they are in the league. Pressure's all on Rangers, by the way. They're the ones that need this win a lot more than we do. So for me, really looking forward to it.
You basically gave me your prediction there. We'll hopefully get that from you at the end of the video. Asim, do you share David's confidence about this one?
I would say I'm quietly confident this time. I think I was a bit more bullish. I think we all were after for the semi final, and we were in a good place at the time. So I think we were right to feel confident. I think I think we've got a lot going in our favour again. I'm not going to place too much importance like we did last time. The fact that they've got a game tonight, I think a lot was made about that, and maybe as fans we kind of use that as extra kind of confidence as well. And they showed that it didn't bother them too much. Different circumstances. This time, obviously, they're going away to Germany, and we've got the home. It's a home game for us on the Sunday. The crowd factor. So yeah, I'm quietly confident. I'm not going to be as like I say bullish as I was the last time. But I think there's plenty of room for optimism, and there's a lot to suggest that we analysed the game, and I'm sure obviously Ange and the players will want to right a few wrongs as well, and they'll have worked hard how to address that come Sunday.
Yeah, there was some interesting comments from Callum McGregor yesterday. We'll come on to in a minute, guys, about the way Celtic will approach the game on Sunday. Before that, just want to mention, obviously, yesterday's video was not really a kind of current issues video. It was more of a look back at some of the best quotes from Ange. While I was doing that, the PFA Scotland were announcing their nominations for all four of their kind of main awards. There's obviously some other ones they do as well. That's them on screen there. So Player of the Year, Regan Charles-Cook of Ross County and Craig Gordon of Hearts, as well as Celtic duo Callum McGregor and Tom Rogic. The Young Player of the Year nominees, Liel Abada of Celtic, Connor Barron of Aberdeen, Josh Doig of Hibernian and Calvin Ramsey of Aberdeen. Women's Player of the Year nominations, Lizzie Arnott of Rangers, Priscilla Chinchilla of Glasgow City, Jacinta of Celtic, and Charlie Wellens of Celtic as well. And the Women's Young Player of the Year nominees, again, Priscilla Chinchilla, Jacinta, Bailey Hutchison, and Maria McInerney. PFA doing a lot of good stuff this year. They've got the two women's awards, I think, for the first time, and apparently they're going to get equal billing with the men's game on the night, which is really good, I think. Obviously, the one that's going to get most people chatting there, David, is the Player of the Year nominees. The male player, that is. Two Celtic players in there. Should there be more? Are they the right two Celtic players?
I don't like to get too arrogant about it and act as though we should just dominate all the nominations. It just gives a lot of them, like Rangers did last year, of course. But I can't really complain with like Craig Gordon being in there. He's had some season, to be fair to him. Regan Charles-Cook, fantastic for a Ross County winger. But for me, I would have to say I can't believe Cameron Carter-Vickers isn't in there. That's the one for me. I can understand Kyogo's omission. I know that was one you pointed out to me earlier, but when you've missed 3 months of a season, that does come into account. Carter-Vickers has been playing week in, week out, bossing the best strikers this country has to offer. He's been the shining light in our backline, and I can't understand why he's been left out.
Yeah, I obviously brought this up, Asim, and I'm now already regretting it because I honestly, as much as I've decided to bring it up, I don't really care too much about it. It's all about Sunday for me and what Celtic do on the pitch. Just to round it off, who do you think's going to win out of these four? Is it going to be Callum McGregor, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, it was between him and Carter Vickers as well. And the fact that Carter Vickers isn't in there, I think it should be nailed on for Callum. I just think he's been so consistent all season. Cameron Carter Vickers has been flawless. I cannot think of a game, even in the past, like I was a fan of Chris Julian, Chris Ayer, but they've always had games where they look, like they've struggled maybe against Lyndon Dykes or for, players like that. Carter Vickers has been flawless. I cannot think of a bad game he's had, and that's coming from like when you seen at the start of the season, everyone was criticising the defence so much, and for him to produce the performances he has, and for the stats back it up. So it would have been him for me, but out of the four there, Callum McGregor, yeah.
Interesting. Right, on Callum McGregor, he spoke to Sky Sports News yesterday at the announcement and he was asked about Celtic's approach this Sunday. He said, "We are going in the mindset of really going to try and win the game and be aggressive and put our stamp on the game. I think that was missing in the last game we played, obviously at Hampden, so we'll be trying to get back to that as much as we possibly can." Now, I always think Callum McGregor's quite an interesting guy to listen to. He's quite polished in the media. He doesn't really tend to give too many sound bites away when he doesn't want to. And I think there's certain times when he does do that. He was doing a lot of it at the tail end of the horror season we had last year, and when he was kind of just unleashing things and you knew there was something to it. And I think he's done it a little bit here. As I say, I think quite often what he says is a good indicator of how Celtic are going to approach a game. And I just get the impression from what he's saying there that Celtic are going to come right out on Sunday with real intent, the intent that probably wasn't there in the game at Hampden. I think that Hampden defeat really hurt the players. I think it hurt Ange. The thing I told you about after the game, Ange taking in the Rangers celebrations. And I think we'll see a Celtic team on Sunday that are really, really motivated to put things right. Probably like we did on the February the 2nd game. I think that night we were almost possessed that night, shouting in Rangers players' faces. The atmosphere was so hostile, and I think we could see a similar thing on Sunday. Maybe not quite to the same extent. I think there'll be more of a party atmosphere in terms of the stand, but I think the players can certainly replicate that. David, do you get the impression Celtic are going to come out with a score to settle?
I think the loss at Hampden, I agree with you. I think it hurt their pride. I think it was a lot of... we know what the build-up was like. We all thought Celtic were favourites, not just Celtic supporters either. I think a lot of the mainstream media, the pundits, all thought Celtic were favourites too. So I agree with you in that sense. With regards to what Callum said heading into the game, I think the message going into derbies is always the same, regardless of who the manager is, regardless of the circumstances that came beforehand. When you play Rangers, you always have to have the mentality of coming out and stamping your own authority on them. I think if you look back at what the players might have said before Rangers games last season, you'll probably find the message is quite similar. I think there's a standard message that they have going into these fixtures, and regardless of whether we won at Hampden, we would still have been looking to prove a point. So yeah, I do. I think they'll come out with plenty of motivation, but as much as Hampden did hurt their pride, there's enough there outside of that for us to really be motivated with what's on offer on Sunday. You talk about just about winning the league, it will only be goal difference by that point, the Champions League spot that's available, and just reasserting your authority over Rangers, I think, is always a pleasing thing for Celtic players and supporters. So I don't think Hampden will have a greater effect on the team's mentality heading into this game, but I do think it hurt their pride, yeah.
So is it too simplistic then, Asim, to say that Celtic are going to come out all firing on Sundays? There must be more to it than that. There must be a better game plan than the last game.
Yeah, I agree with what you said earlier. Callum's always quite an interesting one. I think he is quite honest, and when he comes out with kind of comments like that, and like you said, you heard in the tail end of last season, like you said as well, I always find that quite a good insight into where the players' heads are. I think they will come out with almost a point to prove, because for me the most frustrating thing about that Hampden game was the performance rather than just getting beat. We can take getting beat. I just felt we didn't show up in how we can usually play, and that was quite evident from the off. And I think that is something that, yeah, I don't think that will be our only game plan, but it will be a big factor for, I think, for the players, that they want to come out at a much more intense kind of tempo and right from the off, getting in their faces a bit more and things like that. Obviously, besides that as well, I do think there'll be little tweaks which Ange and the players will have worked on throughout the week to try and counter the things that went wrong last time. But for me, I'm looking forward to the response in terms of the performance. I agree with you. I don't think we can expect what it was like in February. I think that was just like one of those kind of magical, rare nights. It was a nighttime game. I think that impact as well. But I've got the feeling Sunday could, like you say, if things go well and we start well, it could be like more of a party atmosphere. But I'm expecting a much more high tempo, high intensity performance from us.
Because the games have been close this year as well. I mean, that game at the start of February was an emphatic Celtic win, but Rangers were in a terrible place at that stage. They're in a better place now. They're a better side than they were at that stage. The games have been close, and probably what we should expect again, David.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm saying I don't think it'll be exactly like February in terms of being 3-0 up at half time and all the rest of it. I'll leave those kind of ambitious predictions for others. But just back to what we're saying about the revenge aspect, I don't really believe that Ange is the kind of manager that focuses on revenge as part of his team talks, as part of his motivational tools. I mean, he's when he's sitting in front of the media almost every week, whenever he's asked about previous results or hiccups, he does seem to really look to dismiss them and not sort of use them as an indication of what the team will be like on the next meeting. So I think it'll be similar in Sunday. I don't think we truly know how the game's going to go. You're right, we do need to combat Rangers much better. I thought we gave the ball away too easily at Hampden. I thought there were players shirking tackles, which really infuriated me on the day. I hope there's none of that at Celtic Park, considering the magnitude of the game. I do think it was small margins at Hampden, though. I don't think it was anything majorly wrong with the system that we have to deeply delve into. I just think it was small margins, Hamish. We were 1-0 up heading into the final 13 minutes. If we win that game 1-0, nobody's saying it was a poor performance. All the Rangers deserve to win. But because we lost an equaliser and then ended up losing 100 and whatever it was minute, I think the picture changes. So it'll be interesting Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. But it will be a tough game. Of course it will.
Asim?
Yeah, I think, like you said, if we were to have won that game, the narrative would have been different. But in saying that, even throughout watching the first half, I did feel that we didn't play to our capabilities. But even with that, I don't think there was much in it. So us not playing near our best and them playing, I thought pretty much is, up there with one of their kind of better performances all season. It was still such a tight game. But I think if we were to show up and play how we know we can, then I think you'll see a completely different game. I don't think they'll have as much of the ball on Sunday. I know I've said not we're not going to place too much importance in the fact they've got a game on the Thursday night, but I think there is a slight difference. That game they had the whole buzz of the going through after the Braga game. Tonight could be a tough game for them. We'll see how that goes, obviously, but it's a tough away game in Germany. They're going to they're without Roof and Morelos, so it's they've not got the same personnel that they've had in the previous games against us. But yeah, so they're going to have to come up with a different. And like David said earlier, they have to. The pressure's on them. They have to win. A draw's no good to them. They have to go all out for the win. So I think that will play into our hands hopefully as well. And we've got pretty much as fit a squad as we've had all season. I think minus Juranovic and Beaton maybe. I think it seems like everybody's available, and that's a strong position to be in.
Yeah, I mean another big part of it as well is the fact the game's at Celtic Park. I mean, the last time Rangers visited Celtic Park, they completely crumbled in the atmosphere. I know they didn't have any fans there that night. I think this time they will have a support. I've not actually seen that confirmed anywhere, but I think they'll have a fans at the game on Sunday, albeit a small number. So it may be slightly different there, but I just think once again it's all about getting that early goal and really seeing how Rangers deal with the pressure. You mentioned there the fact that a victory is basically what Rangers need from this match. Callum McGregor also mentioned that Celtic will be going out to win the match. For me, it's probably a quite a good example of the benefits of Ange's philosophy and the fact Ange goes into every single match trying to win it. Maybe under another manager, say, in the past, this game plan would have been a bit of a tough one for Celtic to weigh up on Sunday, because a draw kind of suits. We want to win, but a draw at the end of the day suits us in terms of, getting the league back. It's a draw is far from a disaster for us, whereas it is for them. But Ange won't have these players going out looking for a draw at all. The idea of a draw won't even come into any of their minds when they go out. Now, whether it does late on in the game, if it's level, is an interesting talking point. What would happen if it's 1-1 with 5 minutes to go? But I think Ange is going to send this Celtic team out to win this game, and to win this game by as many goals as they can.
Yeah, and I would agree, of course I would, but I'll just go back to what I said earlier. I think regardless of who the manager is, regardless of what the philosophy is, when Celtic play Rangers, especially at Celtic Park, that's always going to be the mentality, to go out and beat them. Especially, maybe if you're at Ibrox, a different story, when, a draw is seen as a decent result, but it's just different to me as a supporter at Parkhead. You always, regardless of the circumstances, even if the league was over, even if we'd already won it, it has to be a win. So, I don't think Callum was ever going to say anything else. I don't think he was going to say,
Yeah,
a draw would be some result.
Maybe it's a case of me reading too much into the comments.
I think when they come out and say these things before your tougher games in Europe, I think it's impressive. And when we take the mentality in the games, like away to Bayer Leverkusen, when we took the game to them, I think that's more of a pertinent example than against Rangers. But yeah, listen, they'll be going gung ho. They won't change their style for Rangers, and that's hopefully going to be a positive, especially with the crowd behind them.
Just in terms of the team, guys, I'll stay silent on this because people will get to hear my team on Saturday's preview. Thinking Hart, Ralston, CCV, Starfelt, Taylor, McGregor, and then it gets interesting, guys. So who are the players that have to play for you, Asim?
So yeah, back five, keeper and back four kind of picks itself. McGregor, Jota will play, and
Think
then
that's a certainty.
Yeah, I think so. I think a man of the match performance last week, he was back to what we know he's capable of. Again, I don't, like David said, I don't know whether they'll feel like they've got a point to prove. They've had such a good season overall, and we're on the verge of potentially being champions soon. So, but yeah, there was a bit of criticism of Jota after the last couple of Rangers games, or more so the Hampden game, really. Yeah, so I feel like he might feel like he's got a point to prove, and so I think he starts for me. Maida starts for me as well. I think
on the
Abada's,
left though.
So on the left, Jota on the right, and then the Kyogo starts for me. I know that's a contentious one as well with a lot of people. That I think we're at a stage where fans will be happy with whoever out of the two start. Kyogo's movement. I'm like you, Hamish. You almost forget how good he was or is through that time off. When you've seen some of his movement just in that Ross County game as well. I know he missed a couple, but I just think he'll be a constant menace. And then the one other one, again, it's so hard to pick, is, well, there's two positions now really, because I know Hatate, people are saying, isn't a stick on as well, and I would have thought that, but given that Ange then played him again at Ross County, I think he's got him in his mind. Whether that's
play, I'm pretty confident he'll play.
I think he just doesn't want to go with obviously Tom and Matt both, especially against them. And if Beaton's not available, then I think Hatate's a stick on. And then for me, I think I've been humming and hawing between this one, but I would go for Tom Rogic again as your man behind.
David? Yeah, you can't go for the same team, by the way.
Well, it is different now, but what Asim said there is exactly what I think Ange Postecoglou will do. I would take Rio Hatate out, personally, and I would put Matt O'Reilly in. Rio's just losing the ball too much for me over the last few games. I thought he was really poor at Hampden. I'm not going to go in on him, but I would take him out of the team for looking for better ball retention. I feel I would trust O'Reilly from the start. I think Hatate might be good to bring on later in the game, personally. Against maybe some tired legs, he could add a bit of drive, and he does add some drive when he wants to. But for me, O'Reilly comes in. I think he was good at Hampden when he came on. I thought he improved, as I said earlier, ball retention. I thought that was much better. I thought we got up the pitch a lot more. I thought he added better balance to the midfield. So for me, he'd come in, not forgetting he had a very, very good performance against Rangers at Parkhead in the 3-0 game. But that's my only change. I totally agree with the front line. I would play Kyogo as well. I know there's a lot of supporters calling for Giakoumakis, which I fully understand, but as I'm saying, the movement of Kyogo in that final third against a Rangers defence we know we can get at. All the space of Celtic Park, I would love to see it. I would love to see him in from the start, and especially with Tom Rogic and Matt O'Reilly behind, feeding some through balls to him.
I think it's a great choice to have. That's the main thing in terms of the striker. There was times earlier this season when we had David Turnbull up front, and now we have two brilliant options, very different options as well, but probably equally good options. I just think this game suits Kyogo. I think there's going to be space in behind, as there often is in these matches, and I just think as much as Giakoumakis has been really good in these fixtures that he's played this season, I just think Kyogo's an absolute magnet for chances when he plays. That's another thing I forgot about. I mean, he misses chances, but he gets so many.
Do you not think that Giakoumakis, and I know this isn't the role we want at Celtic in the long term, do you not think he's been so effective at times coming off the bench as well? The way he holds the ball up for us against more tired defences, I think.
And he's also better now than he was when he was doing that at the first. He's much more confident now. I mean, I thought on Sunday, for example, when he came on, he was far better link-up play than he was when he was coming on in his early games. So I think he's just a great player. They both get chances.
Yeah.
Giakoumakis is probably more likely to actually tuck a chance away, but I just think what Kyogo gives you in terms of the pressing, and if you've got Kyogo pressing, Maida running his socks off as he always does, and Jota pressing the game as well, I just think Rangers will struggle to deal with that.
Yeah, I think there's such a strong argument for the two of them, and that's such a great position to be in that you couldn't argue either way, because we've seen how much they struggle to handle Giakoumakis, but I just think the energy and the closing down of Kyogo and Maida against a team that's just played on a Thursday night and had a hard game, I think that to tire them out for the first 60, 70 minutes, and then if we need to, we can bring on GG if we're winning maybe by a goal to, like you mentioned, hold the ball up and just ruffle them up a wee bit. I just think it's great options to have, but yeah, personally I would start it that way.
And I think the other thing is that we don't know what Ange will do, and we won't know until we get the team. And if it is, for example, Giakoumakis up front, or O'Reilly or someone in the midfield, I think we'll just have to admit that Ange knows far better than any of us, and I'm sure if that does happen, then there'll be a very good reason for it. And I think we're all at the stage now where we trust Ange completely to get this right, because vast majority of games he's got right this season with his team selection. On Sunday we do play Rangers. The league will be won if we win, not officially, but I can't remember who it was saying that we'd have a hand on the trophy if we won on Sunday, and that's just not the case. I mean, the league is won if we win. It's over, just not officially. What would victory on Sunday mean to each of you? Starting with you, David.
Victory on Sunday or winning the league?
Well, both. As I'm saying, they go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think it would. I think it would really cement your dominance in the fixture this season, even if you have lost two. I think you would end the season with such a mental advantage over them. If you could get that win at Celtic Park, and I think that would go into next season. I do believe that would pile pressure on them heading into next year as well, and their manager. They won't like him being known as the guy that's lost to Ange 3 times. But in terms of what a title win would mean, it would mean absolutely everything compared to what we went through last season. That was hell, absolute hell. It's difficult to sort of just put into words. You can use all the superlatives you want. The feeling will just be indescribable when we lift that trophy again. If we lift the trophy again, I can't wait. I hope we win this game though, because I do feel the result on Sunday, regardless of the fact that I do believe we'll win the league regardless, I feel the result against Rangers will dictate some people's feelings heading towards the summer. I don't think it's ever a nice feeling losing the final game to them, regardless of what happens.
Good point.
With the league championship. So I think it's an important game for more aspects than just the title.
Asim, we're going to get you on the reaction on Sunday, I think, so you might want to hold fire on what you're going to say until it hopefully does happen. But just in general, how are you feeling, ahead of the game and what this Celtic team could achieve on Sunday if they win?
Yeah, for me, Sunday would just be, if we win, it would just be a fitting way to basically essentially clinch it. As David said, I think we'll win the league regardless. I'm reasonably confident that we will win the league, but I think just to cement that victory again against them. And in terms of how it feels, for me, I think we spoke about it at different points earlier in some videos and things like that. It would be up there with, for me, one of the best title wins since Martin O'Neill's first season. There's always something so much more satisfying when you're totally, the underdog in that season. And we were under Martin O'Neill's first season. A lot of the seasons in recent years and the 9 in a row, we were favourites to win it, and some of them were great years and brilliant teams. But there's just something a bit special about this season, just because of how far we've come in such a short space of time. How far we've connected with the manager, with the players. Even as we were just looking, we were 6 points behind in January, and the run that we've gone on. And I'm going to touch on another thing, which a minor rant, but some of the narratives and takes I've heard, and I know you've made it big on follow.
Be careful.
But it's honestly, it's baffling. It's baffling. This is a good Celtic team. This is a team that's gone on a run of 28 games, 4 draws. That kind of form we've not seen since Rodgers' first season. And if they think this is a weak Celtic team, they're in for a rude awakening when they see us strengthen potentially again in summer with more time under the manager. And I think in terms of generally, I think it's maybe not sunk in yet until we've actually clinched it. How big an achievement this has been. They were stick-on favourites to win this league. We were in disarray, and for us to be on the verge of one victory away from clinching it, it's honestly brilliant. And like I said, it's probably going to be one of the best title victories in my lifetime supporting Celtic.
Yeah, I think you did it justice there with the words as well. It's amazing to think that on Sunday we effectively could all be feeling that. I mean, as we say, officially it wouldn't be done on Sunday if we win, but the parties that be going on around the world with Celtic fans would be, I think, just to the same extent they would be if we had officially won the league. And then we'd get to officially win it the following week against Hearts. Yeah. So it's not a bad couple of weeks ahead of us, guys, if it goes well. We're going to leave it there for now. We're on for just shy of half an hour. Thanks very much for your time, guys. Scott will be back with us next week, hopefully speaking after a big derby win. And looking ahead to that big Hearts game. We'll be back tomorrow as well. Well, I'll be back tomorrow. Big preview planned on Saturday as well. So stay tuned. We're still trying to get to 29,000 subscribers. We're not too far away now. So help get us over the line if you wouldn't mind. We'll speak to you soon.